Again, Gills fans, welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV. It is match preview time as I look ahead to Saturday's fixture at Adams Park, where we will be taking on high-flying Wycombe under the tutelage of Gareth Ainsworth, the most rock and roll manager in the EFL. And I'm very pleased to say that tonight I am joined by a Wycombe fan, Emily, also a director of the Wycombe Wanderers Supporters Trust. So, Emily, first of all, thanks for coming on. Appreciate you taking
No,
time
thank
out
you
of
for
your
having
evening.
me. Thank you.
And yeah, if you can just explain a little bit briefly before we get into the video, how you became a Wycombe fan and what your role as a director of the Supporters Trust entails.
So I became a Wycombe fan about 7 or 8 years ago now, so not a bit of a newbie. Through free tickets from the set group that we have. The players came into my primary school, got me hooked, haven't looked back. And I became a director recently on the Supporters Trust. And my role mainly is just for our women's team. So I'm an ambassador for our women's team, doing all their social media and everything that goes with that. So that's my main role with the Supporters Trust.
Oh, excellent. So in terms of obviously the recent launch of this Her Game 2 campaign, which I'm sure you can't have missed because unless you've been living in a cave for the last 4 months, I suppose that's something that's probably been well received, I'd imagine.
Yeah, we're not a part of that yet, but hopefully we'll look into that in the future.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, because I see lots of EFL clubs have signed up. I know there's still plenty to get through, but I think just the response to that in terms of it only being since May has been phenomenal. So I suppose as a female football fan, it must be something that's quite refreshing to see.
Yeah, oh, definitely, yeah.
Have you ever experienced anything in terms of issues? I'm going to ask, obviously, while I've got you.
No, I personally haven't. I don't know anyone at our club that hasn't, because we're quite a family-friendly club. So from my perspective, I haven't had anything abusive towards me.
Which is good, and is how it should be. That's how it should be across the board, across every football club, because at the end of the day, we're all going to watch football and to support our club and enjoy football, regardless of whether we're male, female, black, white, green, brown, blue.
Yeah, exactly.
Short, tall. So yeah, that's good. Hopefully, then, like you say, that you can get more involved with the Her Game 2 campaign, and I think it's great that there's more sort of visibility of it now. I know there was a survey I think I saw on Sky Sports today actually that said that more men are watching more women's sport now because there is more coverage of it. So, excuse me.
Yeah, well,
so
especially with them being on Sky now.
Yeah, because I think the WSL is now solely on Sky Sports. I think there's a lot of games get shown on BBC, which is great as well because it's terrestrial TV. Right.
No, I agree.
Anyway, Her Game 2 wasn't the purpose of this chat anyway, but it's great to have a quick catch up on it. Purpose is, of course, to talk about Wycombe versus Gillingham this coming Saturday. Last 6 in the league for both sides. Wycombe have got 10 points from the last 18 available. That's 3 wins, 2 defeats and a draw. So that's pretty solid. Gills, a bit more patchy, 6 points from 18 available, solitary win, 2 defeats and 3 draws. Away from home, 6 points from 18 again for the Gills. So there's a pattern forming here. Again, it's exactly the same. It's 3 draws, 2 defeats and a solitary win. That was at Cambridge last Tuesday. In terms of Wycombe at Adams Park, 4 Ws. So I'm so glad I've booked tickets for the weekend. I can't wait. 100% at home in the league, beating some good sides as well. I think that's fair to say. You've seen off Accrington, Lincoln, Charlton. I know they're down the bottom, but they're a good side. And I noticed a tweet when I was getting in touch with you a couple of days ago regarding the game on Saturday, where you said it was worth every soaked bone in your body, seeing you come from 2-0 down to win 4-3 late on. What was that like? It must have been incredible. There's nothing really that beats a last-minute winner, is there?
Absolutely incredible. We really showed our resilience in, carrying on and not giving up, especially to that last minute. And just for the ball to fall where it did to Curtis Thompson and for it to go in the back of the net, incredible scenes. Absolutely incredible.
Can't beat it, can you? Cannot beat it. Gills on the road, though, for those Gills fans that are watching and want a little bit of comfort, going to a side that are 100% at home this season. Unbeaten in 3 on the road. Creditable draws at Burton and Oxford United. And like I've already mentioned, most recently, 1-2-0 at Cambridge. That was another game that was biblical conditions. It was absolutely horrendous. We got absolutely drowned walking the 5-minute stroll back to the car afterwards, and it absolutely battered it down all the way along the M11 all the way home. But you don't mind so much when you win. I think it's when you get beat and you have to go home sodden and freezing cold that you notice it a bit more.
No, I agree.
But in terms of Wycombe, I want to have a look at their squad, your squad, it's a very good squad for me. I've had a look through it. I don't see many weaknesses, and I think what Gareth Ainsworth's done really well is in terms of that team that got promoted. I know there was a few comments made surrounding it back in 1920 because you finished 8th and then got bumped into the playoffs. But for me, is what it is. It was always going to annoy someone, the points per game thing, and it had to annoy Peterborough, I think, predominantly, and Tranmere at the other end. But it was going to favour someone, that meant on the flip side, and it favoured Wycombe. But you still had to go and win 3 ties in the playoffs, and you did that and got yourself promoted. So for me, good luck to you.
Thank you.
But in terms of that squad, still plenty there, isn't there, from that promotion squad and the relegation from the Championship last season?
Oh, plenty, yeah. Still plenty of faces that are doing even better now than I think what they did last year.
Yeah, because to be fair, you took it right to the end, probably a lot further than certainly outsiders would have given you chance of.
Yeah, we started really slow last year, which was a bit disappointing because I think had we picked up those points in that first month, even if it's 1 or 2 points, we'd still be up there. But I'd rather get promoted from League One to the Championship with the fans than have to watch it on the telly again. Yeah,
true. Yeah, so I suppose at least you got most of that promotion season in the stadium.
Yeah.
Rather than having to watch it all on iFollow, because it was awful, wasn't it? Let's be honest. I mean, it was good in the sense that there was something to watch, but you can't beat that getting up, that
can't
routine,
beat a promotion,
walking to the ground. Well, obviously, yeah. I mean, we don't have that many, unfortunately. It's been a while. 2013, I think, was the last one. But yeah, plenty of names: Jack Grimmer, Joe Jacobson, David Wheeler. That's a few that I've written down. I've also written Thompson, Akin Fenwa, ex-Gill as well. Final season, I think, and isn't it, for the Beast? He's confirmed he's retiring at the end of the season. But plenty of good players. And in terms of the players you lost in the summer, Ikpeazu, who went up to the Championship with Middlesbrough, was one that stood out for me. Fred Onyedimna left and went to Luton in the Championship. And Ryan Alsop, who's a keeper I think is really good at this level, has gone to Derby eventually. I think it took a bit longer because of all their financial issues.
It took a bit longer.
But that's 3 big players that you had to lose. But I think in terms of the replacements, I don't think you're any weaker at all. You slightly, maybe, but in terms of dropping back down into League One, I don't think you're going to be noticeably any weaker. And the 3 players are Sully Kaikai, I'd have taken at Gills. Sam Vokes is an incredible signing for me at this level. Wales international. And David Stockdale, I think, was on loan last season, has now signed permanently. I think they're 3 more than able replacements.
Oh, 100%. Especially Sam Vokes. That was one signing that I can't believe we pulled off at the time, especially at League One level, because he should realistically be playing in the Championship. So, I'm really pleased with him. And David Stockdale has been fantastic, absolutely fantastic. He did come in halfway through last season to replace Ryan Alsop, because Ryan got injured at Christmas time. And we did pick up most of our points in that second half of the season. So as much as we loved Ryan, David has done really well to come in and take that place for number 1. Well, number 13 in his case, not number 1.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it, when you have to watch first-team goalkeepers with odd numbers? Yeah, especially 13. It's not it's not the greatest number if you're remotely superstitious.
I think it was his number at Birmingham, so he's just
being
so he comes superstitious
in with
sticking to the number he
pedigree
knows.
Again, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Just talk to me about Gareth Ainsworth then, because obviously as an opposition fan, and we see stuff on social media and we see him on highlights programs, Sky and Quest and all that type of thing. But just how good is Gareth Ainsworth? And I think obviously the longest serving manager in the EFL now, I think it is.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I think he's 9 years or something now. It's very close to 9 or 10. My friend would know. And he's been incredible. I think it does show if you don't sack your manager too early, they can prove themselves, and that has been the case, So, no, he's been incredible. And especially with the Kiwis coming in as well, giving him a bit more of a budget, he's been able to stretch that budget to get the squad we have today. Whereas in previous years, he wouldn't have been able to have done that. Even though we were still successful, but for us to now have a bigger budget, he's stretched that money out and got us the players we got today, which is really good.
And also, I think, is it fair to say, again, only from an outsider's perspective, you know more about them, you watch them every week, you know more about stuff that's going on around the club every day. Is it fair to say that a lot of them players, when you went into the Championship, a lot of outsiders would have probably gone, that's a squad that's nowhere near good enough to be able to compete in the Championship, let alone take it as deep as you did before eventually succumbing to relegation.
Yeah, I think, I'd agree. People think we wouldn't have done that well. We would have probably set on, like, I don't know, 9 points, got relegated games before we did. So for him to have taken that squad that people would have thought was rubbish and took it right to the final game was incredible. So no, credit to Gareth and his team there. They did really well.
And like you say, credit to those above, because there's a tendency now to everything has to be done yesterday. If you lose 6 games, or don't win for half a dozen games, your manager's under pressure, and you have to start again. And I think Wycombe Wanderers are proof that if you do just give someone time, that success won't be that far away. What was the ambition at the start of this season then? Obviously, because there's all this talk of it being the strongest League One ever. You've got the likes of Bolton coming up, who've been in the Premier League and played European football in the last 15 years. They've come up from League Two. Obviously, yourselves came down. Sheffield Wednesday came down. Rotherham, perennial promotion winners from this division, came down. You've then got Sunderland, Ipswich, Portsmouth, Charlton. The list goes on and on and on. I think is it over half the division have played in the Premier League?
Yeah.
What was the ambition around the club in the summer or immediately after the relegation? Was it consolidate, or was it we should be going straight back up? Because from my point of view, you look at that squad and I just think they're good. You've got good, solid League One players all over the pitch, but you do have players that can make a difference as well. You've got a goal scorer in Sam Vokes.
Yeah.
You've got someone who comes in like Kai, who's, might go missing in games, but potentially can win you the game in an instant. I think that's similar to what Blackpool fans said last season. We got promoted out of this division with them. What was the aim when?
So the aim when we come down, it was okay. It's happened, but we got to go straight back up. It's one league that we want to experience as fans, and there's also some players there that haven't experienced the Championship before, or they didn't get a chance to because of injury. So we want to go straight back up. That's the aim. But it's a very tough league, so we're not going to take it, too lightly. We just go each game as each game comes along, try and pick up the points. Pick up the points, great. Move on to the next one. We don't look any forward than the next game that's ahead.
Yeah, and it seems to be a method that's worked quite well. Quite well is probably an understatement over the last few seasons, like you say, under Gareth Ainsworth. One person I want to have a chat about, we've already mentioned one former Gill, is Adebayo Akinfenwa. But I don't think he needs any introduction. Everybody that's a football fan or a social media fan who's got an Instagram or a Twitter account knows about Bayo, and he's been phenomenal for you guys. But one I want to talk about is Brandon Hanlan, who I think was probably slightly surprising announcement when it got announced that he joined at the end of August. I know Lincoln were rumoured to be in for him as well after being relegated to League Two with Bristol Rovers. I was always a fan of Brandon at Gillingham. I thought he's got pace, he's got power, he's got everything you want in a League One centre forward to cause problems. Doesn't score enough, I'd likely say, because I think he scored 7 and 9 in his 2 seasons with Gillingham, but still a kid. He's still only 24, 25, so still learning. But I think he's got 2 in his first 8. It is for Wycombe. How's he settled in? Is he?
Well, I think he settled in just nicely when we played Man City in the cup a few weeks ago.
I did see that. Yeah, I did have a little right
he was
smile
our first.
When he put you
he scored first, so obviously that sent the away end rocketing. But no, I think he settled in really well. He hasn't quite broken through just yet into the starting 11, which I think that's his next step. Hopefully on Saturday is what we're hoping. Fingers crossed. He also played last night against MK Dons in the Pizza Trophy and also scored then. 2 tap-ins from crosses that come into the box. So really good start for him, I think, in his goal-scoring career. And I'd say he's probably scored a few more than people thought he would have at this time, especially when you look at his stats as well. They're not great, but for a youngster, Gareth can work on him, like he has done with plenty of other youngsters we've had, and turn him into a good player.
Yeah, because I can't reiterate enough. Like I said, when he was at Gillingham and in Kent, he's got everything that you want. He can play with his back to goal. He's strong enough. He can run in behind. He's quick enough, and he was always very good in a partnership. I thought when we had Tom Eaves, and Brandon scored 9 in his first season at League One level, and I think Tom got 20 odd. But they complemented each other so well because Tom Eaves would create the space and occupy the centre halves for Brandon to run into, and then he'd be either supplying passes or getting shots off on goal. It's interesting to say you scored both of his goals as 6-yard tap-ins, because that was probably one thing he didn't do enough of. But that comes with age and development, I'd imagine. But my concern when I saw him go into Wycombe after seeing him play at Bristol Rovers was, would they play the right system? Because you predominantly play just one centre forward. But then I've noticed you tried to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, we have recently,
and that you've gone to a back three, I think, and you've been doing
back three. We've had back three, back four. We've tried all different formations.
I've noticed as well, where you've played fullbacks as outside centre halves as well, which is very Gareth Southgate. I've noticed, which is fashionable. But yeah, obviously, I'm hoping Brandon Hanlan, along with anyone else who starts for Wycombe at the weekend, has an absolute nightmare. But then I wish him well, and I hope he continues to succeed after that, apart from the return fixture. So that brings us on nicely to team news for yourselves, and then predicted 11. So I know the Gills press conference doesn't generally get done till the Thursday or the Friday, especially after a Tuesday fixture. So I'm not sure if anything's come out of Wycombe either. But in terms of any injuries, suspensions, what do you think would be the lineup for Wycombe come 3 p.m. Saturday afternoon?
I think it'd be very similar to last weekend against Morecambe. So that'd be Stockdale in goal, JJ at left back, Jason McCarthy, Anthony Stewart, Ryan Tafazoli. We have got a couple on international duty, Kai being one of them, so he won't be in the squad. And Daryl Horgan, he's also out at the minute on international duty for the weekend. So in the middle, I reckon we'll have Dom Gape, Curtis Thompson, and Josh Gowen, who people don't talk about, but he's the grafter, the hard worker in the midfield. Then up front, we probably have, I don't know, with no Daryl Horgan, probably Brandon Hanlan. I'd hope he'd start Brandon. I'd like to see him start Brandon. And we've also got a young lad who's in our development squad, but has also come into the first team slightly, just come back from an injury, TJ DeBar from Gibraltar. So I'd like to see him start as well.
Oh, was he the one that was potentially being called up as well? And that was why there was a question mark over whether the game would go ahead or not?
Yeah. He withdrew from the squad. So he played yesterday in the cup game at MK Dons, and has withdrew himself from Gibraltar's squad this weekend to play for Wycombe.
So is Vokes available, or?
Yes, he is, yeah. But I'd like to see him start Brandon, personally.
So you think you might start Brandon as the centre forward?
I'd like to see him start, yeah.
Be interesting, and like I say, because he was always better in a two for me. So it'd be interesting to see how his game has developed now, and he plays in a three.
Yeah.
Like I say, hopefully he's absolute cack. But Gills, like I say, there's not anything's come out on social media yet. I know Daniel Phillips is out mid to long term with an ankle problem. He's back at Watford. I think we're hopeful that Ryan Jackson and Mustafa Carriol should be available for selection. They've both missed the last sort of 4 or 5 games, and they've been a big miss. Jackson's pace at right back gives us an outlet, and Carriol was just in top form and was probably the closest we were getting to replacing Jordan Graham, who left in the summer, and then he picked up a muscle problem. So it's sort of taken all our pace out of the side at the moment, unfortunately. But whether they start, I'm not sure. I can't imagine it. So I'm hoping we go 4-2-3-1, get some width, get some wingers to try and feed for Dane Oliver, who will come alive. So I'm hoping it'll be Jamie Cumming in goal. I can't see the back four changing too much from last Saturday. I'd go Robbie McKenzie and David Tutonda as the fullbacks. I'd bring Jack Tucker back into the starting 11 to replace Reece Bennett, who was in the side last Saturday because Tucker was suspended. So I'd have Tucker with Max Amar. I'd keep Stuart O'Keefe, Daniel Adseed and Carl Dempsey in the middle of the park. And then I'd have Dane Oliver as the centre forward with Alex McDonald and Danny Lloyd from the sides to try and provide some width, try and provide dangerous balls into the box. Especially if you think you're going to play a back four, then we can probably get away with playing a centre forward and not have to play 2. But Steve Evans would probably go with something completely different. Right, the big question. Score prediction.
Oh, no.
Come on, you've got to be positive. 4 out of 4.
I'm going to say it's going to be a close one, probably about 2-1. So Wycombe win 2-1.
Wycombe to win 2-1.
Going to be a close one, I think.
Going to back goal
scorers
as
tough game.
well? You're going to say Brandon Hanlan to score, aren't you?
Yeah, probably JJ, our left back, because he does know just to put a good corner in and it goes straight in the net. Yeah, set piece threat, and Brandon Hanlan.
Be sod's law, wouldn't it? keep trying. I hate these because you don't want to back your own team to get beat, but obviously you have to realise that the other team are very, very good, and we're going to have to be at our best, I think, and hope that you're maybe slightly off it because. But then if we can get as close to a fully fit side out, then we'll be competitive. My head says 2-1 to Wycombe, but my heart says 1-1 because we've drawn 2 of our last 3 away games 1-1, and that's been against decent sides. Burton were in the middle of a good run when we went up there. Probably should have been 3-0 up at half time. Oxford will be there or thereabouts in terms of the playoffs, I think, and I think a similar sort of team to you in terms of where they'll probably finish.
I'd take a draw.
1-1 1-1.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm being brave. 1-1. 1-1 with Carl Dempsey to score our goal. Right. Wonder who's going to be happy come 5 p.m. on Saturday. We shall see. Right, Emily, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on. I hope you do get to continue your good work with the Supporters Trust, and hopefully that her game too will continue to get involved with more professional football clubs. Gills fans, you know where we are. We are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and Twitter. I will put Emily's details in the description at the end of this video. Go and follow her if you want to find out anything about Wycombe Wanderers. Please don't forget to check out Man v Vat Football. If you want to lose weight and play football with like-minded individuals, you can use the discount code Gills in the Blood and you will get your subscription paid for just £1 instead of £10. We'll be back Saturday. Myself and Boz are travelling to Adams Park to watch the game. Fingers crossed for nice weather, fingers crossed for a decent performance, and fingers crossed for a positive result. That is it. Thanks again to Emily, and until next time, up the Gills.